Hi there, it's Mel, and I am with Elliot. Hi, Elliot.
Hello.
And we are going to do the wrap up for Charming, which was the Mel B's Book Club book for December. And I can't remember how far we got into the story when we spoke last.
I can't hardly remember a thing about that myself. I just came in from a big long jog. Probably not the
Okay,
best idea for an interview.
but what's that?
Probably not the best idea to go on a big long run and then do an interview, but
Okay, so let's start, I guess, at the very beginning with John Charming. Where did the idea for John Charming come from?
all right. It's like this. I was trying to find a substitute for Prince Charming because I wanted to connect my stories to a traditional source. I love that kind of thing.
Sure.
I think we actually did talk about this. Okay, it was actually heavy drinking. That's the real reason I can't remember this. But, any rate, okay, that's a lie. I'm sorry. But anyway, I wanted to connect it to a legendary source, and I hated Prince Charming. He always just comes across as such a complete. He's either perfect, or he's a wimp, or he's just an excuse to move the plot along in most movies. I don't know many guys that like him. Maybe, maybe a lot of females do. I'm not really sure. Over the age of 12. Oh, nice dog.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Where Mommy's doing a thing right now. Hey,
Well, if
Rob,
this
you
is on radio, I'm going to sound like the most ADD guy ever.
right?
It's a totally random segue, but that is a seriously cute dog.
Thank you. This is Lucy. She's a rescue.
Oh, hey, sweetie.
Yeah. Okay, you've made an
And
appearance.
I'm talking to the dog, right? Just so.
Right? Okay. Go lay down. Go on. Go lay down. Okay. Okay. Sit. Will you sit? Okay. So Prince Charming is a huge wimp and nobody likes him.
Well, even in modern day movie adaptations, if he's not a wimp, he's portrayed in such a way as to show that the woman doesn't need him. Like Ever After with Drew Barrymore, for example.
Yes.
That movie with Amy Adams, Enchanted, where she saves him, I believe, for the most part. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a strong female character. I'm not saying women should wait around for some rich guy to show up and, save them from their life and do everything for them or whatever, like the fantasy. I'm just saying the character is kind of useless for the most part.
Okay.
And then I sat around looking for all these mythological figures that I could try to find somebody to tap into fables and folklore and fairy tales, like a knight from King Arthur's Table, a knight from Prester John, Sir Roland, except Stephen King pretty much ruined that for everybody. Because who's gonna go up against Stephen King? Come on. But then I realized one of the nice things about having a stereotype like that is that you can play against type. And so I decided to make a charming character. You frozen again. You still there?
That might have been it.
Either that or there's a parallel universe thing going on.
And they're cutting through.
That's right.
The
The
end of
stars are
days.
exactly
It's the
the right
Pax
line.
Arcana. It's failing us. Okay. So we were saying before we were so rudely interrupted by ourselves.
Okay.
John Charming. You were just about to wrap up where he came from.
I was saying I decided to play him against type,
Yes.
which is why he's very sarcastic, kind of uncouth, very blunt. Still a good person underneath that, I hope, but nonetheless not the kind of suave person you picture, I
Sure.
would think.
Okay. So the Pax Arcana, am I pronouncing that properly?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, we'll go with it. I thought that was a really smart way and a really interesting way to explain like a world within a world and why we're oblivious to all of the things that you have in the book.
Well, I was a psychology minor and also in advertising for a while. And I know very well that there's a subliminal consciousness,
Hmm.
that most of the things we process, really, we skate along the surface of our minds. And all the things we're thinking about in the past, the conversation we had that really, really torqued us off 2 days ago, is floating around there right under the surface, and our worries about tomorrow are there. Not to mention all the different things that we're seeing, smelling, tasting, and almost all of that just gets shoved down or flushed, just so we can function on a surface level.
Okay.
And I thought it would be very cool if the reason I watch a lot of shows like X-Files, Buffy, Supernatural, things like that. Maybe that's very cool. I thought it would be very cool if there was a spell that made us shove things that didn't fit our worldview into the background, into that part of the brain that we don't even register or acknowledge most of the time. And, you know, arguably we do that anyway.
Sure.
So that's kind of where that came from.
I like it. Now, the novella is the short stories that you have. Charmed, I'm sure, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, and Pushing Luck. Are they all before Charming, or are they kind of sort of happening during Charming and then leading into the second book?
Yes, they're all set before. I actually wrote the first 3 before I wrote Charming.
Oh, okay.
I kind of pictured them as these old-style pulp stories like Conan or Edgar Rice Burroughs stories, where you just have this hero wandering around, Solomon Kane getting into scrapes and not really having massive continuity or development. I just thought of them as short stories, not really novellas.
Sure.
But since I already had them written, when Orbit asked if I had any shorts to kind of be a prequel for material, I just went ahead and gave them those.
Okay.
And I've written a few more too. Doggone, for example, Surreal Estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I've written 2 more that are coming out in April and then some point after that.
Oh, okay, great. Now, you said you just wrapped up book 3.
Yes.
Do we have an ETA for that book yet, or is it still in the very, very early stages?
It's coming out in August.
Oh, okay, great. I'm going to put an alert on that for myself. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit, too, because I thought it was really interesting. In the back of Charming, you have the interview where you talk about, well, the book, the same as we're doing now. But you mentioned how you had to scale back a lot of things that you had in the world of Charming, like a lot of backstory and things like that.
Yes.
Are we going to see any of that stuff in any of your future books, do you think?
Well, I put some of the deleted material on my website, but yes, it has played out in stories and books as well. I mean, I don't think anything ever really goes away when you're writing a series. As a matter of fact, I'm constantly, every time I hit the delete button or I cut a huge piece out of a work when I'm editing, I just put it in a file I call bits and pieces that I can consult later.
Bits and pieces. I like that. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was how much, like, was there any research that was done? So is there any truth to there being the different sects in the Knights of Templar, where you had like the ultra-conservative Templars and then the not-so-conservative Templars, or was that just a piece of the world that you put in?
Oh, that was just me extrapolating.
Okay.
The real knights, if they survived past the persecution of several kings, we don't really know about it. I mean, there are groups that call themselves Templars today.
Yeah, the new Templars. I saw the Oak Island guys actually ended up going to France, and they met one of the new Knights of Templar who can trace his ancestry back to the original Knights.
Right, and there are some that are public, and then there are some splinter groups that are secret societies. And from what I understand, some of them are no more serious than a moose lodge. And there may be some of them that are almost cult-like or whatever. It's an idea that is very persistent, but we have no real way of knowing what that group would be like if they had continued on for 7, 8, 9 centuries,
Sure.
depending on how you trace it. And so no, it just occurred to me that any group that actually did stay that long, human nature being what it is, they would inevitably splinter. And the thing about this group is they cannot do the traditional thing. Back then, I mean, I said this in the book, back then, if you wanted to break off from a group, you just started your own. Or you got a king to do your dirty work, you accused him of something and had someone else kill them off. You played the whole Game of Thrones sort of a dynamic for power within the sect. But they don't have that option. They're under a magical oath or compulsion, a G. Right. Except that's not how you pronounce it. But that's how you'd spell it. But in any case, they can't do that. And so it occurred to me that any group forced to live that long would have some unholy drama going on.
Right.
Conflict, tension. And so that's where the different groups came from. Some of them embrace science. Some of them think you should fight fire with fire, and they want to study the supernatural more. Some of them are basically guns and ammo, completely militaristic approach. Some of them want to give the monsters a hug. Give them a chance.
Right.
So that's basically it.
Okay. And do you find it challenging to write SIG?
Yes. I actually do. And here's why. Almost all of my human characters are based on real people.
Okay.
Like Chew, for example. I did this strange thing where I combine people. I take the physical characteristics of one person and the personality and some background details from a real person, and I combine those two things. I splice them together so nobody can say, oh, wait, that's definitely him or that's definitely her or whatever. But they're based on real people, and I grounded them that way. I mean, I changed some details, but I wrote out these detailed character biographies before I ever even wrote the book, because I had it in my head that if I knew their backstory, they would always be consistent.
Right.
When I wrote them. Now, the mythological creatures are a little different. They are defined not because they're real people I know. They are mostly defined by their mythology. So, for example, there's a Naga. And one of the earliest myths about Naga and why they're immortal is because they were seeking secret knowledge. And so I made that a defining trait of the character, Parth. And again, I extrapolated and said, okay, well, what would somebody who seeks secret knowledge be in a modern world? And so I made him a hacker.
Okay.
And then, later someone told me, well, that's just a stereotype. You're saying Indian people are good at computers. I'm like, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's Indian. It has the fact to do that he's a seeker of secret knowledge. And in this day and age, if you don't know your way around computers, that's it. It just seemed like a very logical extension. It never even occurred to me otherwise.
Yep.
Oh, right, SIG. I'm sorry, I lost track.
Oh, that's okay.
The thing about SIG is that she's very much defined by her mythology as well. I decided that Valkyries would be able to, for example, communicate with the dead. But the challenge is you don't really find out a lot about her backstory until book 3.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for book 3.
And she's kind of a guarded person.
Very, yeah.
So
But so is John, and I think that was what was making them very frustrating when you were reading between the lines of what they were saying to each other.
Yeah. I tried to give a sense that there was a more complex person under there. with real conflicts, and the things people do don't always make sense.
Right.
You don't know the full story, and even when you do know the full story, they don't make sense. Some of the things I do don't make sense to me.
Yeah, right.
No?
Most of the things I do don't make sense to anybody, so.
So that's one of the frustrating things. If you're trying to write a realistic character, a lot of people, when they read fiction, they expect the author to just lay everything out. It's all going to be logical and orderly, exactly not like life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the challenging thing with Sig is having this idea of a complex character whose background I actually know, but then having to think, well, how much of this would really be revealed in this circumstance by this person? So it's always a little bit of a back and forth with that.
Mm-hmm. I like it. And Molly with her Christmas obsession.
Yes, she's based on a real person who really has one.
I can't imagine Christmas music in July.
Oh, yeah, this person plays Christmas music whenever they're depressed.
Well, that's an interesting way to deal with things.
And as a matter of fact, they keep their Christmas tree up for a good 3 months after Christmas.
Wow.
We have a little musical CD exchange program. And she starts listening to Christmas music around October.
Wow.
I mean, even if she's not depressed. She likes to get a little traction going.
Wow. That's impressive. Tell this person that I admire their devotion to Christmas. I like it.
Okay. I like Molly, though, I have to say. And I love the person she's based on, one of my dearest friends.
Yeah. Okay, well, Elliot, I think that we finally have managed to have a bit of a conversation without something crazy going on tonight. So I think we should wrap it up here. Is there anything that you want to add to for people? Keep an eye out for short stories, your third novel, your second novel, anything like that?
Well, I have a short story called A Load of Bull out sometime. The target for that is supposed to be around April, I believe.
Okay.
I signed a contract to write 2 more books. I just turned in, like I said, the final copy edits for the third one. And those will be coming out, let's see, next August, I believe.
Okay.
And then the second one will be 9 months instead of a year after that.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm excited to have the World of Charming around for a little bit longer.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I haven't signed the contracts. They just got sent to me in the mail today.
So under the anticipation that you are going to be signing the contracts and that there are going to be that many books, I'm excited for them.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, Elliot, thank you for your patience with me today in particular.
No problem.
It's been unbelievable. Thank you for the World of Charming.
Oh, well, and by the way, about the problems, I am the least technologically savvy person you will ever meet.
Apparently, I am up there with you. I have no excuses.
None needed.
All right. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch, okay?
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.